Welcome, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Lars von Thienen. Welcome to the Foundation for the Study of Cycles and another episode of Cycles TV for today. First of all, thanks for dealing with time. Depending on your time zone, we might be 1 hour later than expected, but this is just due to some time zone changes and restrictions we have. So thanks for being live here anyhow today with us. So let's dig into it. And for today, what a week. Ideas. You know about that. We've put out the new section about public ideas to publish your ideas and to discuss ideas. So I've been overwhelmed by the amount of ideas you have just pushed to the public section. So this gives us really a chance now to discuss cycle ideas, not only from our end here, from the foundation, so also from your end, from you as a community member. And this is what we want to do. So what's up for today? Today, I want to review the ideas which have been published out of the community. Let's review some of the public ideas. Let's discuss a little bit what we can learn from the ideas out there in the public section, because this is why we are all here. We want to learn something about cycle analysis, and we couldn't do better just using the live ideas which have been shared by you. So therefore, we will review this section. If you have not visited already, you know that on our cycles page now there is a link, and even if you're not a member, you are free to go to app.cycles.org/ideas. Yeah, so this is a public link available for everyone. So here you can see it in the browser section here, app.cycles.org/ideas. This is where all of you, doesn't matter if you are a member or just a visitor or just interested in some cool cycle ideas, this is the place to go to just browse some ideas on cycle analysis. So if you have not done, you're invited to visit this page and browse some very interesting ideas. So this is what I want to do with you today. So I've not pre-selected especially, but maybe upfront you know about these ideas section. It's quite new, so it might be subject to change during the weeks to come. And one important topic to mention also today is that the comments section, you can define it when you publish your idea if you want to allow comments or not. The comment section is not live yet. We need to fine-tune the comments feature, so it will be there during the next week or 2 weeks at least, but everything else should be there. So don't look around, it's not there yet, but it will come, and it's an important one. The other important thing is I would like you to visit some ideas, and you will see here in the lower right corner of every idea, which I'm just with my mouse on here on the screen. This is the thumbs up symbol. And please click it if you like the idea, because this then gives us a chance to see what are the most liked ideas out of the community. And we can bring this more dominant discussion then also in this weekly session here. So I will use the likes you have given to whatever ideas out there to decide also which ideas we will make public here in this Cycles TV episode. So this gives you as community member a chance to publish your idea. The more likes you get, the more I will put attention to these ideas in our session here. And for everyone just visiting the ideas, when you give your thumbs up to an idea, this will then increase the chance that this idea will get discussed here in this live stream. So this is the way of how to capture one of the best ideas here. I mean, it's a very fresh site here, so I will not pay attention to the likes just yet or for today. So we will just go down the list of published ideas. And as always, I just need to cross-check. Please bring in your questions into the live chat section we have here besides the YouTube video, so that I can also check back with you which chart you want to discuss. Okay, so I also see the first questions are coming in, and I think I will come back to the Berkshire Hathaway chart in a second anyhow. So let's just get down the list from top left to right. So I've not prioritized any special idea here. Next time I will use the likes to pre-select some special ideas here. So on the left upper hand side, it's a kind of financial stress index. And the reason why I'm just going through it is to give you some thoughts, what you can take away from the ideas. And this is the takeaway for today, how you can use browsing these ideas. Yeah. So I will not pay special attention to one dedicated idea. It's more how you read this kind of ideas here. So if we click on it, it will just quickly open the idea. So in this case, it's another financial stress index here. So you can then, let's check the short documentation which has been published here. So this is so I've not been aware of this financial stress index, by the way. So thanks for posting this idea here, and you have uploaded the data set is already. So I think what you have done here below is the cycle analysis of this financial stress index on the global markets. So let's have a quick look on what we see here. So the standard procedure, and this is what you did here, is selecting the most important peaks here, and this is the one which stands out here, 172, which you also have picked here as part of the composite. So even if we don't have the time to go too much into this stress data set in specific, I want to point out, and what I'm looking for if I browse these kind of ideas, is the cycle length which repeat. Yeah. So if we analyze global markets from different perspectives, and that's now the really cool feature if we do this as a community, because every one of us will use different data sets, is to see if we have similarities in cycle length. Yeah, so which we would maybe not discover on our own because we would not have analyzed this data set. So for example, I would not have analyzed this data set. I was not aware of this sentiment data set. So there's a cycle length with 172. It is daily, right? Or is it weekly? So we always need to keep an eye on the time frame. So this is a daily cycle, and you are aware that this 160 to 170 is always showing up. So this gives us interesting information. The second thing which is important if you look at different data sets is what's the current cycle phase here of this 175. So one way to do it is you can just deselect the other ones, maybe just to have this one cycle here. So then you see just this one cycle here. So this shows us a main sentiment low. Sentiment indices always have in mind that they need to be read vice versa. So this might be a top in the markets here. So the other way to read it is if you go over the spectrum chart with the right mouse and hover over the triangle, it will also plot you the phase as text. Yeah, in this case, you see it's written as downtrend approaching bottom. That's the same what we've seen in the cycle. By the way, this is what machine learning needs later on. So they don't need the full visual forward plot. They just need downtrend approaching bottom as a kind of information if we want to put this into machine learning. But anyhow, we don't talk about machine learning here, but there are two ways to get this information out. So this is what I would now note down on a piece of paper. Okay, there's a sentiment data set. I was not aware of these OFR financial stress index. So thanks for putting this out here and seeing a main cycle of this length here. So, okay. Yeah, quick question about when or let's get this now into the session here to also give me a second to combine this with your live questions here. So when I set profile 2, the set disappears after a day and come back to default. It's a bug. So the settings about the profile, first you need to save them in the profile, so I can show it to you. So if you have done your analysis here and then you switch between the profiles, you need to make sure that the settings are saved. Yeah, so you see here when you define your profiles and then you switch between profile 1 and profile 2, you always need to press the set button. If you don't press the set button, your configuration will not be saved. So this might be the reason when you then come back the next day, you won't see your settings you have done the last day. So just changing the settings for profile 2 will not save it. You need to, in addition, press the set button here. Second reason, if you don't see the profile topics back again, might be that they are stored in the browser cache. So if you use a different browser, it might not be able to recall your setting from the last day. So make sure you use the same browser. First recommendation, and second, press the set button for repulling this information. Stefano, I hope this helps here. Okay, so let's move on. And you also have the next question around the Berkshire Hathaway weekly chart. I think we also have this as an idea here up here. So let's first pull up the idea, which was published here. So Yannick, we have this as an idea. Not sure if you're referencing to this idea here, but let's have a first look at this idea here. So, okay. So this data set, let's have a closer look on this idea here, shows the Berkshire Hathaway daily cycle. Another hint for a turn in the main markets. Good question. So let's have a closer look at this idea here. So it shows the Berkshire Hathaway. I think this is daily, right? So your question referred to the weekly. Okay, I will get back to this. So this is a daily chart, a daily cycle analysis on Berkshire Hathaway, which, by the way, is a good idea if you want to have a look on the main markets, because it's a very broad unique usage here. And I would recommend do a similar look what I did also with the sentiment index. So this is just a different data set. The key cycle found here is, I think and pre-selected for this idea anyhow, was the cycle length of 163 days, which is shown here, right, this one. And which is also selected as key cycle here, which gives us the current indication. And there are then the other shorter one cycle is also identified here. So this is where we are in this cycle here. So this would also then, just selecting the simple one with here with the 163 days, topping around end of March, beginning of April here. So what's happening here? And this, combine this with the sentiment low of 170 something of the stress index we saw, they share a similar cycle length. So this is the important topic I want to mention here. Similar cycle lengths, not exactly the same, but it doesn't really matter if you just count in days. The other topic is they indicate similar turning point in regards to time. As we use cycles mainly for looking for points in time when a change might occur or there's a high risk that a change will occur. And this is when you see clusters of cycles pointing to the same date. And therefore the ideas is very important. So you don't need to analyze your individual data set. So here we have two data sets which point to the daily cycle high at end of March. But I think back to your question, I think Your question was around the weekly chart. So let's get back, Yannick, to your question. I have a problem with the Berkshire Hathaway weekly chart. So sorry, I just pulled up the idea, which was a daily. So, and this is the indication for the weekly data. Yes, I will check it quickly. We observe anyhow, there might be hiccups from time to time with the Yahoo integration of the data feed. You know, it's just the wrapper around the Yahoo data and the Yahoo API, so we can't guarantee that it always works. But Yannick, I will also check back what's the issue here with the weekly data set. Okay, so getting back to this. So we saw the daily, and for the weekly, I need to cross-check also the data, the data feed. Okay, so let's get back to the ideas. So I think someone told me. Okay, so another interesting ideas here. I need to clean up my desk a little bit here. So let's get back to your questions later on. I think there are also these, I like these valuation index and the crash confidence index data you posted, which is posted, or which data source is mainly from the, I think you used it from Quandl and the Yahoo University, which is doing some data sets here. So let's have a first look on that, and then I would recommend also go to in more in depth here. And so the interesting point about this idea, which I just quickly spotted some minutes ago here. First of all, let's read the idea here. So this is about the data set from the Jail Stock Market Confident Index. By the way, you can look it up in Quandl, and the links to Quandl was also given here. So this is another kind of confidence-like sentiment indicator, which is monthly. So therefore, I think it fits nicely into the mix, because we've seen now daily data sets. Now this is a monthly data set, which gives a much longer horizon on the data, and there's something also important to keep in mind. So this is monthly data for the last, I think, 20 years, which you have uploaded here for the scanner. And this is this peak is really standing out here. So this is interesting in the cycle analysis, that there's one clear peak with the length of 38 months. So this is always important. You must take an eye on the time frame, which is here, 38 months in this case. I would not pay too much attention to this longer here, but I will come back to this in a second here. So this clearly stands out. You have pre-selected this for us anyhow, and you can see how the turns, the bottoms and the turns align nicely with the past of this data set here. So the highs and lows, if you just scroll over the historical data set here, so that it looks like there's a clear cycle of 38 months, which is really in this data set here, which points just from the current analysis that by end of last year, from a monthly perspective, we have crossed the bottoming, but we are still in this bottoming area. So keep in mind that each a bar or data point is just 1 month here. So we cannot nail it down to the exact bar, but it looks like we are in the bottoming of this. But this is, again, a sentiment measure. So you always need to read this vice versa. But this is now a monthly study, which a different valuation questionnaire here, which points to this indication. Yeah, and I wanted to mention here also why, even though you see a peak here in the spectrum at this point here with 183 months, why you need to be very careful, and this is why I want to mention it, because the overall data set has an length of 233 bars, yeah. So which means even though the cycle scanner might have detected a cycle with a length of 183 months, which is shown here, but we don't have enough data to confirm that this cycle repeated at least 3 times. So this is the rule of thumb I would always recommend. If you want reliable to detect a cycle, you need at least 3 times the length of what you're detecting here. So if you want to look out for cycles with a length of 180, you need at least around 500 to 600 bars of history. So in this case, we don't have enough history to confirm that this cycle should be used for forecasting here. So even though, and also the Bartle score, even if it's a high Bartle score here, we don't have enough data here to confirm this in the historical length here. So that's why you always need to balance a little bit the information you are shown here. But this peak, the 33, is valid. So we need at least 150 bars to confirm this cycle here. And we have 200 bars, so this is absolutely fine to pick this cycle here. Okay, so this is a very interesting idea on the monthly time frame, and there's another one. It's not just the valuation, it's also the confidence index, which you also posted. So it looks like it's a little bit a different data set from the same data source given here, which shows slightly different key cycles, but also I paid a little bit attention upfront to this. So again, these 2 cycles which you selected to showcase this here are 52 and 26. By the way, just to comment, this is a kind of harmonic combination of 2 cycles here, yeah, 52 and divided by 2, it's 26, or multiply 26 by 2 and you get to 52. So this is always interesting. If you see cycles with an harmonic, they should be selected both in combination, which you did here anyhow, just to mention the harmonic for the composite you used here. And you see again that it nicely aligns in the past with the tops and the bottoms here. But, and therefore, it's always interesting to browse these ideas, and I want to give you an idea what to look out if you browse ideas. There's also the cycle with 38 months. Again, and you remember we watched your other data set where the cycle with 38 really peaked in the spectrum. And if you look at this spectrum here, I will even make it a little bit larger for you to see and to follow. The cycle with a length of 38 is also in this data set, even though the peak is not as prominent and as high in the other data set. But this is now what gives you more confirmation. In this data set, it might not be the dominant one, but in the other data set. So the cycle of 38 months seems to repeat in a different data set. So therefore, I would, even though if you just look at this data set alone in isolation, it's correct. You would maybe not pick it in this data set here. You would go with the ones you have selected here, which is absolutely fine. By the way, which is a sentiment bottom here, market high. But you can also add now 38 into the mix because we saw it in the other data set, and this will slightly adjust the forecast and the situation. So here, so 38 was not confirmed by this individual data set, but it was confirmed by the other data set, and the exact same length here in this case. So this gives you good confirmation to use it also within this data set. You see how slightly it changes here, but again, the overall composite fits very well to this market here, and even tweaks out this major sentiment low here, which then moving into, for the next 2 years, I think a clear projection is shown here, and the data is already following this cycle here from a monthly perspective. So that's why I think it's very interesting to give you some ideas on how to browse these ideas section and how to get some additional clues out of it. Okay, let's just quickly continue the ideas topic here. So then, please excuse if I can't pull up every individual data set here. So there are Aquarius, you also posted a lot of interesting data sets here. And maybe this is just to highlight, because this idea, not only the cycles you've detected, but the idea in here is very interesting to share here. So therefore, let's pull up this idea here also, because this is a complete first, it's a very different approach to look at market valuation, because if we have a look at your idea here, how you described it, so that the monetary policy plays an important factor in market valuation and stock market valuation. Therefore, you did a great idea in regards to provide the S&P price divided by the M2 monetary policy, which is at the markets to get the distortion of price out of the data set, which gives a different look at stock market prices. So I think therefore, thank you for putting up this idea. So you have the S&P 500 closing price divided by the M2 monetary policy, which is currently in the market, which you have pulled up from the FRED data set. So this is, thanks for describing your idea, which really helps others to think about this idea. And then just looking at the outcome of this analysis, this shows a little bit a different idea, but at least a peak around October 2021. So taking into account the monetary policy in addition to the absolute stock market valuation, and then looking at the cycles, we'll pull up kind of different approach here. So, October 21. But the other interesting topic, I don't know if you did this by chance or because you stopped your in-sample data here at the end of 2002. So this is interesting. First of all, I think it's interesting because what you see here on the right-hand side, where you just have the light blue data here on the chart, which is shown here, this is not known to the cycle projection area. So what you can see here, if you make this a little bit larger here, is that this projection was done in September 2002. Where you can then see how nicely this top and this low, this top, if you see this here in the pricing, this topping period here, which is in alignment with this pricing here. So this is always how to read this. Don't use the absolute amplitude of the cycles. It's about the timing. You see here the relative low here is exactly then compare this top to this low here, which was projected by these two cycle turning points here, and then again here this low, in relative pricing, which is absolutely in alignment with the cycle low projection here. So, and now then the pricing here moved in alignment with the projected upturn, which then goes into October this year. This is what you've written down, but this projection was done. And this is the really fascinating point, I think, of this idea here, 20 years ago. So how nicely this projection done 19 to 20 years ago was able to spot the key market turns in advance. So the turning points here in the markets in 2007 topping period and 2009, the low here, was projected by this cycle composite 6 years in advance. So I would recommend pull up this idea on your own and update the cycle analysis to today. So this is, but this, I would leave this now up to you to do this on your own. You can update the data set, reset the range, update the range to today, and update the cycle analysis, and would be interesting then to pull out if the top projection might change here. But two things to mention. It's a very interesting idea. Don't just look at the absolute valuation, combine it to get the distortion out of the market from the monetary policy which is applied here. So therefore, I really like this idea, and it makes absolutely sense to have a look at this cycle analysis here. And it's very, very outstanding to see how it worked out anyhow in the out of sample data. Okay, so that's how ideas work. And as mentioned, I can't pull up every data, but I would like to thank you for bringing your ideas here in the public area. Please continue to do so. Please, upfront to this session, go to the live chat and post what idea you want to like to discuss, so I can look up what ideas you're interested in. I will also look at the like section. Please like the ideas you really want to discuss or know more about, and the comments feature will show up during the next weeks. So let's get now into your question. So the comments topics, I think you also put this out as an question, Murat, here. This is what I tried to mention throughout the seminar for today, or the episode. For sure, that's the main idea, that others comment. And this comment feature, as you know from basic charts, will come up during the next week. So just monitor as we are in the preview mode. We will constantly update the features here, and the comments will be able also for other members. Not for anyone in the public, so you need to be a member to comment. This, I think, would be fair, but then everyone can comment this. The ideas disappeared since Saturday, and before I had only one idea. The ideas section. Please make sure there might be a reason for that, and I also will make this maybe even larger. To get the ideas section, which I'm sharing here, you need to make sure that you go to this idea here, which I will put also on this chart in this section. It's important that you have the correct address. So I give me a second, and then you will see it even larger here. So this is the place to be if you have problems seeing the ideas which I shared with you. There might be, and I will also put the URL here in the live chat also. So that's the key topic where you need to be. Appers, this is the URL. Make sure that you visit this page to see the ideas. There might be other pages, and you might know why, but this is the FSC area where you get all the ideas here, which will be discussed on Monday. Mark, excited to be part of this community. You're welcome. Is there a place to discuss non-market related questions? Sure. So first of all, feel free to upload your own data set you want to analyze and publish it as idea. We are not restricted to markets. It's just where we start on every Monday. So in this weekly series, we are focusing on markets because there's a lot of interest in. The cycle analyzer will give you the possibility to analyze any data set. For in-depth discussion of non-market related questions, two things will happen here in the foundation during the next days or weeks. First, we will ramp up a forum page or forum section. It's not a page, it's a section where you can even have a much longer discussion and publish ideas to get in the forum. And there is also then a separate forum on different areas of cycle analysis. So we as a foundation are not limited to markets. So therefore the forum, once up and running, will give you the option to do that. I would expect that during the next 4 weeks, it will go live. It's already there, but we need to tweak and fine tune the administration a little bit. And then Ray Thoms, my colleague in the board of the Foundation for the Study of Cycles, is taking care of the scientific part of analyzing cycles from different perspectives. And Ray will also show up with the recurring series. We are not finally sure if it will be a podcast or also a video show where Ray will discuss cycles from a scientific perspective, not from the market perspective. So, Mark, this will then more be the place to discuss non-market related questions. So for sure, publish your idea and we will raise it here if there's interest. And then Ray Thoms, our colleague on the board, will show up with a forum and with a scientific podcast series to get this covered. Okay, so what are other questions? Yes, Bernard, you asked the topic. So the live room is not open for the foundation. This is a special subtopic here. This is a little different setting. So what other topics? So Murat, you mentioned the study posted couple of days ago. I'm not sure which study you're referring to. So if you can add some comments here in the live chat, I can try to pull it up. Not sure, and please update this. And Stefano, I think this is a general question on how many clusters and instruments can be set. So you're referring here to the cycles application, yeah? And let's share this with you again because I think this is an interesting topic for any new member here. So you can set your dashboard page, which is here labeled as market pools, and this shows you how to browse the data sets. And this is not fixed. This is not fixed, so you can change that, and therefore you need to click on the configuration cog, which is shown here, which will bring you to the market pools configuration section. And here you can, first of all, you can add new clusters. A cluster is the group of symbols you are tracking here. So by new cluster, a new box will appear. So the limits are reached. So this, I will come back to this question in a second. And then on each cluster, you can add additional symbols, or you can even remove symbols. So if you're not interested in the DAX or the Nikkei index, whatever, you can quickly remove it from your individual dashboard and then put another symbol on it if you're interested in other markets. So the dashboard we provide is just the starting point for you, and please adjust it to your own needs. It might not be obvious to find it here, so therefore I just repeat it because you can't see it in the settings area. In the settings area, you only find the workbooks, ideas, and data sets. If you want to change your dashboard, you need to go to this configuration icon here. This will then allow you to add clusters, remove clusters, and change symbols. So, but your question was how many clusters here? So you are able to use 5 clusters. So what you see here on my screen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clusters. So if you want to cluster them in a different way, think about to, I don't know, get commodities out or cluster them different. You can always remove a cluster here, yeah? So then you can rearrange that. 5 clusters. And I think from the symbols, it must be around 10 to 20. So you can try it out, but I think you're limited to 10 symbols per cluster. That's the key topic here. And once you've set your clusters and symbols, it will quickly show up here in the dashboard. The key reason for clusters and symbols here is you listen to me, and maybe you've heard that I always look for cycles within cycles or cycles aligning in different data sets. You can quickly see cycles alignments if you just browse the market pools section. Yeah. So if you see the similar length in a cluster, So that's why the reason I cluster it. So you can use global markets, a special forex pair or cryptocurrency pair, where you then find the same length, which is always interesting if the same length appears in different data sets. So here, by the way, it's interesting that the length of 40 days is showing up. And then you see the current phase. So it's downtrend neutral, uptrend neutral. It's different in regards to the phase, but what you're looking for is that you see a cluster with same cycle length and same phase coming into alignment. So you don't need to browse your individual workbooks or look up each symbol individually. You should arrange your dashboard, watch symbols, and then you can quickly spot there's the same length, the same phase, and then you can drill down into the detailed composite analysis, because this is just the dominant cycle which is shown here, which gives you a quick indication. Okay, yeah, we are running again for 45 minutes. So let me quickly try to sum it up. Today, my main objective was to review the ideas you posted out of the community. This is what I want to pay more attention in each section. And therefore, as said often, please like ideas you want to discuss or post them in the chat section here so I can pull them up. I hope you got some ideas what I recommend on how to browse the ideas and what to look for, how to validate if the picked cycles work. I think we have seen very interesting data sets on sentiment cycles, on monthly data set, weekly data set, and daily data sets. And the current analysis is still pointing for an interesting high now in March, end March, latest beginning of April, which comes alignment with the other data set. Last but not least, I owe you an update on the National Association of Active Investment Managers Index, what I've done. So this was a question from last time. So you will find in the ideas section, and I think some of you also did it, so I'm not the only one. If you scroll down, you will find the exposure index, indicates turnaround, which we have published from the foundation. And I have been asked to update this data set, which has now been done up to last Friday. So what you see here in light blue are the last 4 to 5 weeks, which have been added here to this data set. And anyhow, you see how nicely it was projected to move down, and this is exactly what happened in the NIM exposure index. And you know how to read this indicator on the main markets. If you pull up the idea, I've shown you how these turns have been in alignment with market turns. So this index has been updated. You can review this idea with up-to-date data sets. So therefore, let's close this session for today. Thanks for joining for today. Publish your ideas. Next time we will have different topics. Maybe it's just not only now looking at the ideas, but one topic. It's important that we use this in the community. I want to make you aware of another session this weekend on the 27th. My colleague Richard will have a special Cycles TV episode with Sentiment Trader, and they will have an interview on how to, they do cycle analysis. So watch out this Saturday, a special episode of Cycles TV with my colleague Richard from the foundation. Would also be interesting to have some follow-ups. And otherwise, I want to see you next week on Monday. So see you next week. Have a great week. And until then, take care. See you next week. Bye.